BBC Music introducing
on Asian Network.
So we're here, BBC Music introducing the portal that all of you can jump into and discover new artists. The whole point of BBC Music introducing, well, it lies in the name. Introducing is about us introducing you to new artists, and definitely artists who are either under the radar or who are unsigned, or there are many musicians out there who haven't had a break yet, and they deserve a break. And that's what introducing is all about. And I'm really happy to say I have a new artist with me. I'm going to play you his music in a couple of minutes' time. But first, I just want you to, on an audio level, meet Jinda Biant. And am I pronouncing your name right, Jinda?
Yeah. Jinda Biant, yeah.
All right, cool, man. So welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Now, I'm just going to say this because even though you probably don't and I don't, some people do work on visual stereotypes and all that kind of stuff.
Of course,
and I'm looking at you, you know, you obviously love going to the gym and working out. You've got a pataka on, all right? You look like a very proud, very loud, young British Punjabi Sikh man, all right?
Of course I am, yeah, of course.
You are, but the music you sent me sounded like it had been forged at the crossroads where all the great blues musicians learn how to play guitar. So before we go anywhere into the album, how come you're a blues musician growing up in where here in the UK?
In Nottingham.
Nottingham, yeah.
I was just exposed to a lot of different music growing up, like from my parents. My dad was a big Elvis fan.
Big up Daddy G for loving his Elvis, man.
Yeah, and it was never like we were never held back from listening to different styles. So I could be listening to Nusrat one day, and then listening to Little Richard the next day, and then listening to Nirvana the next day. So it was just always there in front of me. So.
Well, as a massive fan of rock music and the history of rock music, whether it's Bowie and the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, all the 90s stuff, I get it. But at the same time, when you handed me your album just before you came on air, you were pointing towards like notes from a tabla teacher. So you still have that kind of that classical training somewhat, right?
Of course, yeah. My first instrument was tabla. And I learnt from a great teacher called Mr. Viddi, Gurmeet Viddi. He was a world-renowned player. And the deal was by my mum, if you go to tabla, then you can go to play football afterwards. So, that was the kind of thing. And then, it just led me on to a passion for music. And because of him and his teaching style and how patient he was with me as a child, it was just a great learning experience for me, really.
So if that's the entry point, when did the guitar happen?
Well, the first time I saw the guitar was my dad's best friend. His name's Carl Axon. He used to be in a band called Doctor and the Medics.
Oh my God, Spirit in the Sky.
Yeah.
Doctor and the Medics. Guy, if you're listening at home, guaranteed 99% of you won't remember Doctor and the Medics. Doctor and the Medics, the first time I saw them on Top of the Pops, the guy... You know the film There's Something About Mary?
Yeah.
You remember her fringe? I'm not going to discuss how she got the fringe.
Yeah.
Well, you know this because he's your dad's friend.
Yeah.
He was on Top of the Pops with this horn, this unicorn horn made out of the top of his hair.
Yeah.
He had the most amount of makeup, looking like a cross between a crazy late 1960s hippie and a member of Kiss, the band.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So
you blown me away. How did your dad know him? How did that happen?
So it wasn't the lead singer, the actual Doctor. It was the guitarist for the band
with those amazing riffs.
Yeah, my dad used to work with this guy, and he came round to my Babaji and Mama's house, and he was just like, he's one of these people that when he walks into the room, he's so funny and he lights up the room, and everybody was like, like my Babaji and Mama were just like, oh, play some songs for us, do some Elvis, and he was doing all the hip thrusts and all of that kind of thing, and it was just like, I was about 3 or 4 years old, and I was like, oh my God, who's this guy? And then about 15, 16, he took me out to buy my first amp and first guitar.
Dude, I'm sorry, but for me, that's legendary. The guitarist from Doctor and the Medics went out and helped you pick your first guitar and amp.
Yeah.
God, does anyone out there know why I'm freaking out right now? That is just like, you are so lucky, bruv.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was amazing to be exposed to it, and I think he's just such an open person to encouraging people to get into music, and like exposed me to AC/DC and all sorts of blues and other things that I'd never even heard of. Because I grew up in the 90s when it was Oasis and, you know, Prodigy and Blur and all of that kind of thing, and Nirvana, of course. But he just showed me a different element, and he took me on the road with different bands and stuff. I was selling CDs and that kind of thing. So it was just like, it was a real working band and a real insight to how much hard work goes into music and the graft you have to put in to get anything out of it. Do you know what I mean? So it was, it was just amazing.
So look, that's the music, all right? And we could just jump on and play this track, Sisters, but I need to ask you one last question, and that is, forget the guitar, all right? Forget the fact that you're an accomplished musician, and
thank you.
We're really proud of that. The voice. Your voice, my friend, you know, sometimes it's got the yearning quality of a Kawali singer.
Yeah.
Then at the same time, you sound like a classic kind of rock and roll musician, deep within British guitar music as well.
Yeah.
So when did you realise you had a banger of a voice on you?
Well, thanks, first of all. But, I think it was probably about 10 years ago, we started a band with my brother and another guy. And we didn't have a singer, and my brother was like, well, you're singing till we decide.
It sounds like the beginning of Oasis, doesn't it?
Yeah. So my older brother was like, well, you're singing until we find someone else. So we wrote this song together, and then I sang it, and it was very raw and off the cuff and stuff, and my brother was just like, yeah, bro, we're not going to get another singer, you're doing it now. Wow. I was just like, oh, cheers. So yeah, it was cool. I was kind of like thrown into it, and then I just realised how much I loved it. I never knew that I could be a frontman, but when I was pushed into it, I just, you get lost in it, don't you? It's just enjoyable. So,
well, talk about getting lost. I got lost in this song when you sent me the link to your album. Listeners at home, I want you to listen without prejudice. I want you to enjoy Jinda Biant, and the first track, I'm playing 2 tracks on rotation this week. This one's called Sisters, and it's actually the opening track to the album Restless, which we'll talk about after the tune. What's Sisters about?
Well, me and my friend Clark, who's coming with me, we wrote it together. It's kind of just a bit of a reflection on society, just, turning a blind eye to things, just kind of like turning away, not facing up to like reality. Like, it was loosely started about like climate change and that kind of thing, but it's just a general, closing your eyes and not facing up to things, kind of, pull your socks up type thing. So yeah, it was that kind of element to it.
All right, let's unleash the beast, meaning you as an artist and your voice too. My BBC Music introducing artist, who you've just heard from, is Jinda Biant, and this is the first time you're hearing him on my show.
BBC Music introducing
on Asian Network.
When you turn your head and you close your eyes,
BBC Music introducing
on Asian Network.
Shivers down my spine. Oh my God. You were just listening to Sisters from this man, Jinda Biant, who's this week's BBC Music introducing artist. And, bruv, seriously, most people won't get the references, but I'm a big fan of Spiritualized, who've been around for 20 years. And Ladies and Gentlemen were Floating in Space, and Laser Guided Melodies were two albums that really kind of affected me in my 20s. And there was a lot of blues in those albums. And also, and this is what made them unique, they had a lot of gospel and then a lot of kind of very British guitar stuff. And I really feel like you're channeling that, but then you've taken it somewhere else. And also people are going to hear where you take it when they hear Home, which I'll be playing on the show tomorrow or Wednesday. So tell me about Restless. Is it your debut album?
It's my debut album, it's taken about a year to complete, because I wanted to take my time with it and collaborate with friends and get other people involved and stuff like that, and also, you know, just think about what I'm putting out and what order I'm putting it out and that kind of thing, and also getting some great artwork on it. And
well,
let's
quickly talk about the artwork, because you handed me a copy of the album, so thanks a lot. There's this brilliant, almost psychedelic image of you on the front cover with your patka on your dari and all this stuff. And if you look closer, you kind of go, okay, all right, that seems like either Hindi or Punjabi script. And then if you look even closer, as you pointed out to me, there's some proper migration and genetic pictures going on there. Are these grandparents and ancestors and stuff?
Yeah, so on one side I've got my babaji and mama, and then on the other side I've got my nonni and nanaji. So
why did you do that?
Because I think, like being a British Asian and stuff like that, you always have to remember that, like, we wouldn't be able to do these things, like be here and talk to you and get my music out and be influenced by, Western music and black music and American music if it wasn't for these people, these trailblazers that have come over. And also, like, I just love the stories. Like, I love all the stories from, like, grandparents and great-grandparents, and I think blues and those stories, they are like blues stories anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure your grandparents or anyone here's grandparents, there's some amazing stories around.
Well, for some of us, we're so old it's our parents.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. So Restless is going to be out soon, right?
Yeah, that's out on the 2nd of August. So it's going to be on all streaming sites and stuff. And then we're going to have a launch on the 16th of August at Bodega in Nottingham. It's a local bar that I wanted to play out for a long time. So
one last question, and I think it's a question that I have to ask because you're on the Asian Network. Obviously, musicians don't sit there like marketing men going, I will make music for this community or that demographic.
Yeah.
Have you, just because you're in the centre of the storm, have you had any great vibes from people maybe of British Asian heritage who haven't really listened to guitar music? Because we all know there's a lot of British Asians who only ever listen to urban music and desi music. Have you found a way of bridging your sounds to them? I'm going to help you with that, by the way. That's why you're on the show.
Well,
definitely.
yeah. I mean, I have put it out to as many people as I can, and I've invited people to shows and stuff like that, and had their opinions on it and stuff like that. And I get a similar sort of response, like, oh, how are you doing this? You're an optician, you're Indian, why have you done this? Do you know what I mean, kind of thing. But at the same time, I think
because you can. That's why you done it.
Yeah. Well, it's just because I love it. Yeah, I love all music like you. So it's I didn't want to restrict myself, and I'm proud of all the things that I'm into and what I've done, really. So
well, look, Jinda, I just want to say, what you just said, we're really proud of you because we are into all kinds of music on this show. We want everything to be open on this show, and you're emblematic of that as an artist. Everything you're about, your heritage, everything you're doing with your music, you're like the poster boy for this show.
Well, I appreciate the support and I appreciate you saying that. I mean, it's just, It's amazing. I mean, me and Clark have been sat in there just laughing, like pinching ourselves, thinking, what are we doing here on the Asian network? So it's just been mad.
All right, well, let's see what happens in the future. I'm going to be playing you all of this week and spreading your music. You know, BBC Music Introducing is an institution in itself.
Of course,
so
yeah.
we're definitely going to put you into that brilliant musical machine and see what happens over the next 12 months, if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Where can people find you on out on socials and out there on the internet?
So yeah, if you just type in Jinda Biant, like Jinda Biant, and on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, yeah, just anywhere, YouTube, everywhere really. So yeah, if you just type that in, it should come up.
All right, and one last thing, just so you know, I've only ever lived in Birmingham and London, apart from 5 years when I lived in Nottingham. And
right, cool.
I just love anything magical that comes out that city, and therefore I love you, bruv.
Well, you need to come up and come for a cup of tea with my mum and dad.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for the invitation. I'll definitely have the chai and the biscuits. Okay?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Some pakore.
All right, nice one, bruv.